My name is Fernando Padilla. I'm up here at Van Ness Pen Shop. One of the great things about this pen store is that sometimes things come in that just absolutely take your breath away. We wanted to make this video today to show you something that you're just not going to see outside of a museum. Apparently, these pens have been sent in for repair, and this is a Red Dwarf from Liverpool, England. It is a stilograph in red hard rubber. As you can see, the ink left on it, which is cool because you can see the remnants of fingerprints in the ink itself. Bad idea to clean this, because apparently this pen belonged to Sir Martin Gilbert, who was the biographer for Winston Churchill. As you can see when you remove the cap, this is a stilograph pen, and what's fun about this is that it has a fixed rod on the back of the pen. You can see the black hard rubber, the contrasting rubber, that holds this big, long, thick hard rubber rod, and then at the end of which there is a coil of wire that runs through the front of the cone, and through the tube itself. Now, what blew my socks off about this pen is that right there. You see the spring right itself. It's hard to see in the video, but you can see in the spring itself that it actually retains the ink through capillary action, and the surface tension is broken up by the wire as it goes through the front nozzle. These are very simple mechanisms, very hardy. This one actually is, what I like about it is apparently this one, we put a little bit of water in it to make sure that the tube in the front was clear, and it has red correction fluid in it, which is just unbelievable that that would still be in there after all this time. I mean, you know, this is a pen that was put away wet, in all likelihood, because the ink is recombining. Very fragile pen. Red hard rubber is notoriously a fragile material because it doesn't flex as much, and as a result, you have to be really careful with it. The other pen that came for repair that I also find really exciting is the Conway 115 ink pencil, circa 1954. This one just needed a sack, and what's cool about it is that it looks like a conventional fountain pen on the outside until you get to the front, which is also a stilograph, but it is sack-filled. And we are fortunate in that we have the Marshall Oldfield book here, which shows an exploded detail of what specifically all the components are in the Conway Stewart lever fill pen, the one that's shown as clipless, but you see just how hardy that the mechanism is, and it's also useful to compare and contrast the evolution of the stilographic pen over time, because the first ones tended to have wires that were fixed in place and went through the tube with a little bit of a spring to not only retain but also to allow, let me put this right side up, to allow the needle to break up the surface tension in order to be able to write. And the Oldfield book illustrates this better than just about any other source I've found. And you can see that coil that the Red Dwarf has, which is necessary in the later 1954 Conway Stewart, because it in fact has a moving weight that shifts back and forth to break up that surface tension. So it's one where just the normal method of writing it with it would shift the weight enough that the surface tension would break and cause the ink to flow. Really an amazing and hardy mechanism, but in the wrong hands, and if you don't take care of them, they can be real persnickety. Like I said, the historical significance of this has just taken my breath away to even be looking at something like this outside of a museum. And I think it's some measure of how well these pens are made, that they're still here, and with minimal effort, they're back up and running. It's just amazing, just amazing. What I like about this Conway Stewart, and I'm actually fortunate to have a model like this at home, but I have a conventional section and nib and feed on mine. And after this, I'm going to be looking for a stilographic front for mine. Thank you for listening in on this, and appreciate your time.